say hi?
You're on YouTube. Here you are.
No, she did good.
That's good then.
Just going to go back Monday, so I'll take it early.
Yeah. No worries. All right. Oh, yeah. Right, see you later.
Bye.
All right, guys, hope you're all well. So 10 weeks out today, and I'm going to film the first lead session of this prep. Not the first lead session that I've done, just the first time filming it, obviously. I do men's physique, but I don't actually skip lead day. So yeah, you'll have seen at the start of the video, that was Maddie and Jenny. Maddie unfortunately developed a hernia just after her season. So she had her season at Christmas time, and then second week in January, we noticed that she had a lump. And yeah, what we first thought was just a hernia. It turned out it was actually a uterus that had come through some of the nerves, and it was in the wrong place, and her urethra came through with it. So it was a pretty complex surgery that she had to have yesterday, and a lot more than we anticipated it would be. And yeah, she had to go through a lot, obviously sedation and the medication and whatnot, and just the surgery itself. So with the nature of it, if there was damage to the urethra, then her kidney could have ended up, being swollen, not being able to get rid of any urine, full of toxins, and yeah, she would have needed to get that kidney removed. So they're going to do like an ultrasound on her kidney on Monday, but she went to the vets this morning, just 12, 16 hours later than when she was discharged, and they were amazed at how well she'd recovered in that time. And she does seem like herself. She's wagging her tail. She's excited to see us now that the morphine or whatever she's had, I don't know what drug they give them actually, now that that's worn off, she does seem more of herself. So yeah, that's very reassuring. And it was a worrying couple of weeks because we really take good care of Maddie's health. We want to make sure that we give her the best food possible. We try and eat really well, and we try and make sure that she eats really well as well, because Dachshunds can live for 15, 20 years, and we want to make sure that's a possibility. And if you feed them shit, you're just like a human. You're not going to live as long. So we really try and take care of her when it comes to stuff like that. And Dachshunds are pretty susceptible to having a bad back because of the weight distribution in their body. So we have a stair gate, so she can't go up and down the stairs. All these little things that you kind of put in place to make sure that she's at no risk of any injury or just being able to live a long, healthy life. So when something like that happens, you're like, that's just literally something we couldn't have controlled. But anyway, it poses its own difficulties because obviously me and Jenny are both on prep now, both 10 weeks out, and we're going to have to train separately, do our steps separately, at least for the first fortnight, whilst Maggie recovers from the surgery. But that's fine. It's just life, and we'll make it happen and get it done either way. But yeah, just relieved that she's okay and we can, continue to plan ahead, because when something like that happens, Jenny was very, very upset yesterday because, when you have to sign that the dog's able to take part, have the surgery done, there is quite a lot of things on the form that, are quite daunting. The prospect of, death from anesthesia and whatnot, and infections that could lead to something, more sinister. So yeah, it's a hard thing to have to go through, but I was just confident that Maddie's a healthy dog and these are routine procedures and it would be okay. Obviously, it was a little bit more complex than we first thought, but it is what it is. It's done, and yeah, we can move on. Anyway, 10 weeks out from the Two Bros Regional, 12 weeks out from the Ben Weider Pro Qualifier, and I just thought I'd take you through a lead day today. Prep is going very, very well at this point. The first couple of weeks, like I mentioned in the first video, digestion was a bit slow. My body was just kind of getting back into a rhythm, and I felt like even maybe a week or two ago that my digestion was a bit too slow. I still had, some nut butter in, some beef, some salmon. So I had a good amount of dietary fat, which obviously slows down gastric emptying. So what I did was I just eliminated a lot of that. I do still have some whole eggs at meal one on a rest day because I don't have carbs at that meal. So it's a pro-fat meal. But then the rest of my diet is very low fat. There's no nut butter. There's no red meat at all. Not that there's anything wrong with it, in my opinion. I think when I can reintroduce that, I will. And salmon, that's gone as well. So I'm literally just having now my whey protein isolate, my beef isolate, which is zero fat. I'm having tuna and I'm having 2% turkey breast mince. So yeah, my diet is very, very lean right now, and that has sped up digestion a lot, and I feel like it's allowed my body to really take shape. I'm still 100 kilograms, 100.1. So I started the year at 98. So I went up since starting prep, and to think I was on stage in October, just a few months ago at 83 to 84 kilograms, to still be 16, 17 kilograms up from then, 10 weeks out from a show, is unthinkable. So testament to, muscle memory being a real thing, because, I had that time away from bodybuilding. I prepped last year. I gained a lot of muscle back, but a lot of that year was spent in a deficit. Mid-October, November, December, I was in a surplus, and I think that muscle that I wasn't quite able to add back during my prep, I was able to add it back, maybe and then some, during that 10 to 12 week period between starting prep again. So yeah, really, really pleased with how things are going, and given it's a short prep and it feels like a bit of a time crunch, I'm actually very, very relaxed about it. I'm doing 30 minutes of cardio 6 days a week. I don't do cardio on leg day. I just do my 10,000 steps. My carbs are at 400 on a training day and 300 on a rest day, which is decent. It could maybe be a little bit higher considering my body's shaping up nicely, but I would rather stick where I am. I'm not going to drop anything this week because I think that I'm just simply going to continue to recomp. And, if you're getting better and better at the same weight, why force being lighter when I could instead be stronger and more muscular come the end of the prep? So that's my kind of thought process there. I'm not going to force the weight off if I don't feel like it needs to. What I see in the mirror is good. And I'm simply just going to keep it where it is. And rather than increasing my calories, I'll just keep getting leaner, and then I can start to throw in these refeeds. So, maybe on a Sunday, rest day, I'll have 750 grams of carbs. Not yet. I don't want to do it prematurely, but when my body needs it, I'll do it. I did that a lot last year, and it made a massive difference. I always went into that Monday very strong. And I like the approach of pushing hard, filling out, pushing hard, filling out, as opposed to keeping your food a little bit higher and then just being on the same thing. I think your body needs forced in a certain direction, so to speak, and then fill out the glycogen stores, get the muscles round and full, and get your strength through the roof as well, because you go into that Monday session after a Sunday carb up very, very strong and powerful, which is so important because you kind of set the tone for the week, I feel. So yeah, that's my kind of philosophy on it. Some people will say, why don't you just up your food day to day? That's fine, do that. But for me, I know that if I, do that approach of burn the fat, fill the body out, burn the fat, fill the body out, that I'll never be getting to like 3 weeks out and panicking that I'm not going to be in shape, because I've kind of like pushed the body in a direction, and then I'm in control of, not losing any of that muscle because I'm filling back out. So I'm never pushing myself beyond the point of no return, so to speak. But right now, I don't feel that I need to reduce anything, which is great. I could pull down some carbs, I could increase my cardio, but if you don't need to do more cardio and you don't need to eat less food, why do it? Just let your body, lean out at its own pace. Obviously, I've only got 10 weeks, so it's not going to be that I don't make any food changes in this 10 weeks and I'm just going to miraculously get shredded eating what I'm eating. That's not going to be the case. Obviously, at some point, I will need to intervene and speed things up. But right now, at this stage, I don't need to be shredded. I need to be strong. And I also think there's a massive, role in your strength when it comes to getting you leaner. So what I mean by that is, I find that if your strength drops, your metabolism is going to start slowing down because you're not creating the same demand for recovery as you were when you were stronger. Again, I'm always driving when the sun is right in my eyes, guys, so sorry about that. But anyway, if you start losing strength, your metabolism's going to slow down. So I want to be as strong as possible for as long as possible. To be honest, I feel like you should be just as strong as you can be at the very end of your prep, stronger than you were at the start of the prep, if you've done your programming right and you've not over dieted and stuff like that. But obviously all of this is determined by your start date, your start weight, or look, I should say, not start date. But if you start the prep, carrying too much body fat, you're probably going to lose strength because you're going to have to diet too hard for the time frame that you've given yourself. Whereas if your start point is decent, which mine was, then you can afford to pace yourself a little bit more, and you're not going to have to sacrifice strength along the way, which means that you can get on stage with as much muscle as physically possible for you in that time frame. So yeah, feeling really good about things. Looking forward to seeing what happens in the next few weeks without, trying to force things off, because, in the past, previous preps, when I was younger, worse start points, I would just be like adding 5 minutes of cardio every single week, reducing my rice and oats every single week. Whereas this time I can just, let the training do the work. If I'm getting stronger, on the majority of my workout, then I'm going to be leaner. Especially if my weight stays the same, but I'm getting stronger, I'm going to be leaner at that weight. That's how I try to think. And if you don't think like that, you're probably just going to want to see 1 kilogram drop off, 1 kilogram drop off, and before you know it, you've sacrificed muscle when you didn't need to lose weight at that rate. You could have went a little bit slower. So yeah, I guess it's just years of doing it now. This is my 7th prep. It'll be my 14th and 15th shows in total, which isn't a lot considering I'm 27, but I did have 5 years off. I did loads between 16 and 21. But the experience of doing all of those preps, taking myself through all of those preps, and this being the 7th one, it's just all those mistakes you make in the early years, and also like coaching people through the process, like clients. I gather a lot of kind of things that work and don't work, and I feel very confident in this stage of prep. Whereas in the past, I'd have been like flapping, I should say, not flagging, in the sense that, am I going to be ready? Am I going to be ready? Yeah, I will be. So yeah, just go at the right pace, and let the training do the work. Anyway, I'll get on with the sled session now. I'll explain some of the cues in terms of technique, and some of the pyramids that I'm doing as well, which is slightly different. I'm trying to do more warm-up reps, get a really good connection in the muscle before the first heavy work set, and I'll take it from there. But hope you enjoy. Right, so I'm just going to film the quad section of the session today. Maybe a little bit of calves at the end, but the gym's that busy, I couldn't film the hamstring work. So just get the quads done today, and I'll put some hamstring work in on the next leg day video. But everything's feeling good today. Good connection, really good connection. I'm doing a lot more stretching now, and obviously I get tissue work on the legs, so just really feel the muscles light up when I train them. And I'm obviously doing plenty of warming up for each muscle as well. When I move on to a new muscle, so for instance from hamstrings to quads, I'll go through that whole warm-up procedure again on this, rather than just jumping straight into a work set, because it's a different muscle. You need to move blood into there, get that firing, and the same will happen when I move on to calves later in the session. So just one set on here, and pay attention to the technique here. I go for this every time I do quad extension, leg extension, whatever you call it. It's about dragging the weight up and getting a really good contraction, obviously controlling the way down. Whereas often you see people use too much weight and they'll just kick the weight up and down. And at that point, it's really hard to hold that peak contraction, because kicking it allows you to use a weight that you maybe shouldn't be using. And consequently, when you get to the top where the quad's at its weakest, you can't hold that squeeze. So I want to make sure I use a weight that I can drag up and own that contraction at the top as well, because ultimately the goal of this exercise is to fully contract and shorten the quad. We've got lunges for lengthening the quad, we've got leg press for working the mid-range. This is about the full contraction at the top, so using a weight that allows you to get that contraction as high as possible and keep it there. And you need to use a weight that's appropriate to be able to do that. Not just on the first rep either, all the way through, the last rep, fighting for every millimetre. And if you go too heavy, you can't do that, so watch out for the technique on this. Even on the last few reps, you'll notice that I'm not kicking the weight up. As I fatigue, I don't speed up and kick and let the weight drop. Always controlling it down and always striving to get a really good contraction at the top. Great set. 10 pounds up from what I did a fortnight ago. Instead of doing 10 to 15, I'm doing 10 to 12, just trying not to exhaust the quads too much, as I do quite a bit of volume on the next exercise, leg press. So quads are nice and pre-exhausted. Now we'll go and start pyramiding on the side back squat press. Okay, so onto the squat press now. With this I do like one set of 15, and then I just put a plate, 10 reps, plate, 10 reps, plate, 10 reps, until I fail below 10. So if I get 8 or 9, that's the last set, and then I move on to the next exercise, which is the pendulum. But on this, doing quite a bit more volume in the past, I've done maybe like 10 reps, and then I've added a bit of weight and done like 5 reps, added a bit of weight, done 3 reps, added another plate and done 2 reps, and then I'll go from a work set. So with that, I'm letting the reps come down as the weight goes up. With this, I'm just going to do 10 reps all the way through until I hit that top weight. So a lot more volume. And I feel like my quads really engage well when I get to that first work set because they've done quite a bit of work in the lead up. Yes, it means that you can't lift as much weight. Maybe shaves off 20 to 40 kilos, maybe 40, 50 kilos even, compared to if you've warmed up with less reps. But I really enjoy the sensation that I get in the quads, and I feel like I work them a lot better as opposed to not doing enough warming up in the lead up. So as you see there, that was like a working warm-up where I probably could have done another 5, maybe 6 reps. I'll just stop at 10 because I want to go into this next set with the quads like ready to go all out, not overly fatigued. Obviously this manner in which I warm up, 10 reps, adding a plate, it does burn the quads out to a degree, but in a good way that you get a good connection. But I'm going to go for 7 plates on this next set. I might even get 10. And based on how that 10th rep feels, I'll decide whether or not I go for another set after that. I'd rather not, because adding another 20 kilos to that each side after 7 plates, going up to 8 plates, I'll probably get like 5 or 6 reps, which I don't really want. I want to fail at around 8 or 9, just keep it a bit safer and to get a bit more time under tension. I don't want a 5 rep set because it doesn't last very long, even with the tempo that I apply. But I felt good, and I'm feeling ready for this set of 7 plates aside. All right, proper work set here, so 7 plates aside. I think, to be honest, if I get more than 10 on this, I'll just move on anyway, fuck it. I'll just up the weight next week. I'll go to like 7.5 or 8 plates, probably 8 plates if I get beyond 10. But yeah, I feel like if I did warm up here, only difference I'm going to do for this set is I felt like on the warm-ups, and that's why it's good to do a thorough warm-up, my stance was a fraction too wide, and I felt like my glutes were doing a little bit more work than I'd like them to. So taking the stance just a fraction narrower is going to put more emphasis on the quads. So yeah, that's what I'm going to aim for on this set. But like I say, as many as I can. If I get more than 10, fine. And we'll just amend that next week just to try and keep it below 10 on that final set. But yeah, let's go. Nine. Oh. Okay, yeah. 10 reps. Felt like I got a blood pressure PB there as well, so that's great. Progress across the board. But yeah, moving on to pendulum squat now. I think I'll leave it there for quads. I'll probably get a set of calves filmed, but I felt awesome today. Yeah, 2 reps up on last week. Okay, on to calves. So I choose to do the Atlantis toe press rather than a standing calf raise because I get a little bit of sciatic pain. So I tend to use this machine here, and yeah, it's brutal. But any calf exercises, I did get a question the other day on Instagram about what else can you do for your calves? You know, like different exercises, or is there something else to make them grow if they're stubborn? But the reality is that it's just like any other muscle. You just have to progressively overload. But the one thing I really try and aim for is not to get fixated on the weight when it comes to calves. So progressive overload can be, you know, attacking it with like more intensity in terms of like a harder squeeze, a deeper stretch, controlling the eccentric more, going for higher reps where it burns like crazy. And I do think calves in particular, where it differs from other muscles, is that it's something we walk around on all day. So I think it takes an enormous amount of stimulus to make them grow. For a lot of people, you know, they're genetically predisposed to not really building their calves. It can be a real challenge, even if they train them hard, which does make it difficult. And I can understand why a lot of people get quite disheartened when it comes to calf training and maybe just don't train them at all. But what I've found is to not overload the weight, in the sense that, you know, people will do like a full stack on a calf raise, and I just don't think it's going to serve you well because it's going to force you to bounce, use momentum,
and not really focus on what's important, which is the contraction and the stretch. So for me, I try and work in like a 15 to 20 rep set, which I've just done. And then I go for my second set, which is like 12 to 15. I think the higher rep set first is really important. And even before that, I do 2 sets of 20 with a lightweight to get the muscle firing. So I think connection is really important, but then also just the ability to tolerate the burn. Like it's going to burn like crazy to really build your calves, especially a high rep set. So I think it's really important just to be able to lock in, keep the reps strict, hold the squeeze, pause in the stretch, do them nice and slow, not focus on the weight, and just be able to push through that pain barrier. Because if you're doing a 20 rep set, your calves are going to be burning like crazy on rep 10, and you're only halfway through. And that's the reality of it. If you want to build your calves, that's what you have to do. I'm not strong on calves at all. I lift very, very light weights, but I make them very, very painful. Essentially, you've just got to try and create as much trauma and torture the muscle as much as you can, as opposed to loading it up with heavy weight. And my calves are not strong, but they've grown a lot without the load going up, without getting heavier and heavier. Just lightweight, squeeze the absolute shit out of them, and be able to push through that pain barrier and to block out that burn, because it is going to be there the whole set, and you just need to try and block it out and just go until the muscle truly cannot perform another rep. Making sure that you don't confuse the burn with failure is a big, big difference. So calves are going to burn pretty early on in the set when you've got a lot more in the tank. I think they can do that because you're walking around on your calves all day, so therefore they've got quite a high tolerance to the burn. But that means that you just have to push through that burn and keep going regardless. But yeah, that's all it is. If you want big calves, you just have to be able to suffer through it and go until the muscle is truly destroyed, not just when it hurts. Oh my god, you never get used to that. Like, calves is always going to be sore. I think it's the sorest muscle to train. But yeah, happy with that though. Progressed both sets, and yeah, I'll leave it there for today, guys. I'll definitely get some hamstring work next time, but hope you enjoyed some of the sets today and can apply some of this to your sessions. But yeah, thanks again for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.